Ramona Shelburne is here with us. Kendrick Perkins beaming in from Houston. Brian Windhorst is going to be with us shortly. I'm Malika Andrews. 11 days from now, we are going to have Olympic basketball being played in Paris. Team USA will make their debut against Serbia in that group stage of the Paris Games. But just a couple hours ago, we got a little sneak peek, Ramona. We love a sneak peek in a tune-up game for the Americans against the three-time MVP, Nikola Jokic and company. I know, right?
Like that.
The chalk toss, it went global for LeBron James and Steph Curry, who got the action really started. The party started for the U.S. here in this one. Steph Curry, the 3-foot line is a foot shorter, and he is just knocking him down. Steph, once again, he said, oh, yeah, you bet, I got that one. Yeah. And then going ahead here, under 4 minutes to go, Anthony Davis missed free throw here. This is what Jokic does, Ramona.
I mean, come on. Like, to just one-hand that, I don't even think he caught it. He just touch-passed that.
Right, beats USA back on the break there and just slams it down. So going ahead here to the second quarter. All right, maybe this is when U.S. fans got a little nervous. Serbia started the quarter on an 8-0 run, but LeBron James goes strong up to the rack, attacks and draws the foul. Now the United States down by 3. Embiid, Drew Holiday, back to Embiid.
I like that. A little two-man game there.
Get the two-man game working. So the game now all knotted at 40. Steph Curry, come on. The three-pointer and one.
I mean, are you going to guard him? Like, you're up in his face. How are you going to guard him when he's shooting like that?
Wearing 4 for a reason on the 4-point play. And then Anthony Edwards says, okay, Steph, I see you. I got that too. I got that range. And now it's just a little three-party here.
This is the part where I went and made a sandwich. I was like, they're good now.
Right. Some nerves early at the beginning. They've been getting off to these slow starts. Bam Adebayo laces the 3 there in the corner. So going ahead here to the third quarter, a minute left to go. Anthony Edwards just breaks up the handoff. And this is what he does. We see it all the time in the NBA. Throws it down at the other end. Puts on a show.
And a little pull-up.
Yeah, a little one. Just for good measure there to prove that you can. And then at this point, he's just having fun. He says, hey, raise the roof. Going ahead to the fourth quarter, U.S. up big now. This is when you know they're cruising. Tatum finds Bam for the slam. Bam, alley-oop to LeBron James. James throws it down. Little razzle
dash. Those two
dash.
had some fun together. LeBron was calling him the third splash brother. Bam Bam splash after the game.
And then a little behind the back.
Drew Holiday got tricks today.
He did. Curry had 24 points. He shot 6 of 9 from 3. Adebayo 17 points. 8 rebounds. USA gets the win. So they made a concerted effort to really lock in on the details right against Serbia. This is what we've been talking about. The United States was able to defend the paint better against Nikola Jokic and company thanks to Anthony Davis. It's almost like Kendrick Perkins said something about that. Bam Adebayo, the switching defensive game plan here. So beaming in now from Abu Dhabi, the man in the arena, the one and only, the worldwide Brian Windhorst. Brian, this is the second time, right? You watched Team USA up close and personal in the last 72 hours. So last go around, you gave them a C+. You're a tough grader. I don't know that I would have passed your class. What grade are you going to give them today here?
This was a A- performance.
Ooh.
This was Team USA at its finest, really, because, look, this is something that happened in the second quarter of this game. Steph Curry knocks down his 4th three-pointer. The fans here in Abu Dhabi are falling out of their seats. Steph's never played here before. He's putting on a show. He's got 18 points in 11 minutes. And he's subbed out. He's subbed out. Can you imagine Steve Kerr sending somebody to sub him out? And then you see Team USA's second unit come in, and it's Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, Derek White. You're like, oh my God. I mean, we know who's on the roster, but when you actually see that second unit come in, it's like, wow. And that's what's been happening. There's 2 things going on here with Team USA. Their second unit is devastating teams. Just devastating them. They're running them over. They went on a 31-5 run in this game that basically broke Serbia because Serbia just couldn't handle that depth. The second thing is they've got great defensive big men. This is where they lost all the medals last year in the World Cup. They couldn't defend the interior. Well, guess what? Even against Nikola Jokic, boy, is it amazing to have 2 first-team all-defensive players to bring off your bench. That's Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo. They're switching. They're, doubling Jokic. They're dropping. They're doing all this stuff. AD with 6 blocks in this game, just terrorizing in there. And look, I know Joel Embiid is still not playing well. He's 2 of 8 in this game, but he's still 7'2" in there on Jokic, and he gets to go out after 5 minutes. And these 2 first-team team all defensive players come in. Jokic played the first 30 minutes of this game. The U.S. used 3 first-team All-NBA level players against him.
Right.
He didn't have a good game. The Serbians were missing a couple of key players. Bogdanovic sat out. Nikola Maltinov, who's one of their big guys, sat out. They're playing the second night of a back-to-back. But this formula is how U.S. wins gold, and that's when we saw sort of at full power today. They can play better still,
right,
but this was pretty close to full power.
You mentioned sort of the waves of bigs being able to come at someone like Nikola Jokic. Perk, it was just yesterday that you were talking about, okay, is it time that Anthony Davis maybe is in the starting lineup? Should Bam Adebayo be in the starting lineup? Is Joel Embiid the right guy to be starting for this Team USA? What stood out to you now that they have another blowout win on their hands?
Well, I think, the part where Wendy was talking about the second unit, I mean, and not just offensively what they do, the impact that they have defensively, and it's contagious. We're watching Devin Booker, you're watching Anthony Edwards on the perimeter fight and get over ball screens, picking up 94 feet. All of a sudden, that's triggering the back line of their defense, that duo, the Kentucky boys, and Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo to be on the same page. It kind of looked like KG and Kendrick Perkins in 2008, that big-to-big tandem. But on the flip side of things, here's the thing that stood out the most, right? The physicality. The physicality of the Olympics and watching the NBA is night and day, and they're getting this done without Kevin Durant. He still haven't played.
Great point.
So just imagine you throw Kevin Durant in the mix, it's definitely going to be a problem. But I'm loving how Team USA stood on business today.
When your best buddy, Richard Jefferson, was suggesting that Steph Curry should come off the bench maybe, and they should go with this all-big lineup. No. Did you see what Steph Curry did today? Steph Curry had 6 3-pointers, 24 points. I mean, he stretches the floor and creates so much space. Even when they guarded him, they can't guard him, right? Even when they're fouling him, they can't stop him from making those threes. And you create so much space with him out there. I know they're missing Durant, yes, offensively, the experience. But when Steph is hitting shots like this, they are unstoppable offensively, because now all the guys that drive to the hoop, LeBron and Jason Tatum, all those guys have so much more space out there, and I think he's really been a difference maker.
And Brian, you summed up the talent perfectly. USA versus Serbia, 10 MVP awards represented in the starting lineup, and that's not even including Kevin Durant. And we're going to keep asking, okay, what's the biggest question mark left? What do we need to see still, because we haven't seen them win gold yet? For me, the biggest question mark is France. France, question mark, right? Can they continue to play like this against a team with the size of France? What's your biggest question remaining here, Brian?
Yeah, that's a good point, Malika. And let me just 2 points of note here. One, Steve Kerr said after the game, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Joel Embiid are staying in the starting lineup. So you can, whether you agree with it or not, that's the way it's going to be. He may change the other guys around. The second thing is we have a minor update on Kevin Durant. He is making progress, getting closer, is what Steve Kerr said. I'm not sure we're going to see him on Saturday in London. The team flies to London tomorrow, but it seems like he's making progress, so that's one thing. To me, this really comes down to 2 things for Team USA, 2 giant bullet points going into the Olympics. One, the interior defense. Australia scored 68 points against them in the paint the other day. It wasn't just straight post-ups. It was a lot of other things, back cuts, offensive rebounds, leak outs. That's where this team is soft. That's where the U.S.'s challenge is, that interior defense. Not because of the way they play all the time, but because of how strong these other teams are, like with Victor Wembanyama and Rudy Gobert, Malika, as you bring up. I will point out, Serbia beat France in France last week, just so you know. The second thing is focus. I cannot say this emphatically enough because it seems simplistic, but I'm telling you, as someone who's covered Team USA for 15 years, the difference between a 48-minute game and a 40-minute game in FIBA is night and day. Yeah. All these times we see games where in the NBA where there's a 16-point, 18-point lead and the team comes back because teams that have leads tend to just let their guard down. Is not not possible that you will get beat in FIBA doing that. And that's what the NBA players are kind of wired. This happened the other day against Australia. They're up 16 points. They let their guard down thinking the game is won. They're all of a sudden it's a 4-point game. They don't have that margin for error like they do in the NBA. Here, they get a big lead in the second half. They push it out. Definitely showed improvement on both of those fronts today.
Yeah, not to mention you were talking about it earlier with Joel Embiid not knowing necessarily the rules when he was calling for a goaltend when someone grabbed the ball off the rim. You can do that in the FIBA rules. That attention to detail is so important, particularly for a team that just doesn't have that cohesive history together playing over and over on the world stage. We're going to get to see another exhibition game on Saturday versus South Sudan in London.